All the billionaires and millionaires I've talked to, and it's not a lie, I think it's about 10 that are really high successful people. They're always thinking of ways of giving back. And it's not the ways that you think. And a lot of it's subtle. I had a guest on my podcast, Anthony Trucks, and shout out to Anthony. He calls it the dark work. That when you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, or I get up at 5:15, that you're working. I know, Maz, we've talked about you doing this work. There's nobody clapping for you. There's nobody cheering for you. And we don't give a crap, to be honest with you. We're there to learn, to grow, to help others. I don't need fanfare. I just want people to be smiling and be happy. And like Debbie happened at the grocery store, I made her a little bit better. And hopefully she grows on it and things happen for her.
And that's what separates the winners at that level, is what you just said there. There's no one clapping for you. You've got to clap in your own mind every single day to have that 1 percentile shift, to change the identity within yourself to level up. And the difference between failure and success is only that 1%. Could be getting up in that morning to do what you've done 1,000 times before, but you have that 1 percentile change in that day that creates the ripple effect.
You're listening to Rise from the Ashes podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another session and podcast episode of Rise from the Ashes, Burnout to Brilliance. This is season 5, and I have an extraordinary guest who is a heart-centered and a person of service towards humanity. His name is Steve Ramona, and he's a podcast host himself, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's one of the top in the world. Is that right there, Steve?
It was at one time, yeah, #1 in small business marketing.
Awesome. Steve, please say hello to the world and what do you do and what your passions are.
Baz, thank you so much for having me on. Audience, great to meet you all. I'm passionate about doing business and life with a servant's heart. I want 1 million people to hear this message and hopefully take action with it. We serve, we grow. You want to scale? Serve. You just want to grow a little bit? Serve. You want to stay where you're at? Serve. Because you know what? It's the funnest thing to do in business, because the ROI, the messages, the gifts that you get back. I've grown myself to a millionaire. I can say it today because of doing this, which gives me more abundance, Baz, to be able to give more. So open your eyes in the morning. Who am I going to give to? Who am I going to serve? Close your eyes tonight. Who am I going to serve tomorrow? Have that as your mindset, your foremost front mindset, anybody you run into in me, personally or professionally. And growth is just magical.
This is one of the reasons of many I love you and what you do, because it's a lost concept in the world where service is a component for it. Entrepreneurship, business in this modern day, this service is, or the word service has been overused and manipulated to gain so many other things. You have a different take on it though. It is a heart-centered space. And I want to back up a couple of years. How did this all come about? Because it sparked from somewhere deep within inside you, didn't it?
Yeah, 18 years old, my family launched a health club, and my cousin, who was the president, Jeff, asked to come. Hey, you want to come work? And I did. What I learned in the first year, that first summer, was I'm 18 talking to 40, 50, 60-year-olds who, guess what, are very successful. Not all of them, but some of them. But it started with, hey, Jim, hey, Tony, have a great workout. Hey, Jim, how was your godson? Hey, how was your vacation in the Bahamas? Hey, how's the new car? Did you get your... It became closer relationship. Well, this isn't a business model. And it became family. And our health club became very successful pretty quickly because we had all about customer service. I had to walk around the room, the gym, and ask people how they doing, need anything. How you doing? Make sure they had towels, make sure things were clean, make sure all that. The focus. So my cousin, kudos to him, and I thank him every time I see him for that, because I've taken that to the next level from entrepreneurship. Because this is back in 1980, Baz. Entrepreneurship really wasn't in many mindsets.
It wasn't a thing there, was it? It just wasn't a thing.
And that's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, you've met so many people doing what you're doing with the podcast and meeting through business. Who is the most humble person you've actually met? You can name or not name them, it's fine. But who was the driving force? What I mean by that, who was the driving force other than sort of the situation with your cousin and that? Who did you aspire to be on that ascent?
Josh Tapp in October of 2022, I met him through one of my clients in a business I was part of. He was helping people with their podcasts, and it was something interesting to me to be able, hey, what a great way to get my clients on, highlight them on a podcast, and get them out to my world.
Mhm.
Of course, I get out of the world, but I didn't think, but it was just great because let me back up, Baz. For the last 3 years before that, I was taking my clients and putting them on LinkedIn. Hey, meet Shelly Miller. She's got a cool little product. And it was a digital business card. So, hey, reach out to her. So passively, I was promoting our business. But the basis was, why am I not promoting my clients? Why aren't other people promoting their clients?
Mhm.
And it just grew. I started getting referral. I became the top sales guy in 6 months because I just got referrals.
Yeah.
Because people were like, hey, he's promoting me. I'm like, oh, yeah, I became a client and promote me. Oh, he's a great guy. Oh, he's not trying to sell me. He's doing this or he's doing that. Treating people right. If you ever watch sporting events and you see the kiss cam, and I just
Mhm.
thought of this just 5 minutes ago,
Yeah.
what do people do? The shy people, the extroverts, they're going to kiss. Or when they get on camera on the big scoreboard, they're, hey,
Yeah.
that's what I get to do. And Baz, you get to do every day. I get people seen and have them on my big Jumbotron with my world. It's so powerful and wonderful to do.
But also, you come alive when you do it. So even every conversation I've had with you just come alive when we speak about the service to others. And it's not about what you get and what you're gaining, it's what you're giving to other people. And that's one of the reasons of many, as I said earlier, why I love what you do. When we talk about burnout and these rise from the ashes moments, I'm sure you've had some in your time. What's the most memorable for you that you've come out of it? But what was the defining factor in it, if you'd like to share?
I thank you. And I love to because what I tell people all the time, you're struggling, you have a bad day. We all do. God made our lives up and down for a reason. I'm still figuring it out, and I eventually will. But go out and serve. And I'll tell you a great story. And I've told it many, many times. So it was 2 o'clock. Meetings were canceled. A contract I was supposed to sign for my digital didn't sign. They, oh, let's wait 2 weeks. Happens to us all the time. So I went out to the grocery store. I said, I'm done for the day. I don't usually do that, but I'm like, I got to get away because that's what I preach to people. Get away when just get away from it. So I'm sitting in the grocery room in Baz, and there's a lady there with a baby. And I'm like, I got to call her. Like, hey, Clark, can you pay for her groceries? And he was a surfer. I'm in California, long hair, great kid. I've seen him since we last. He's like, dude, what are you doing? Nobody buys people's groceries. I think he said weird. I said, hey, just do me a favor. I think his name was Derek. Just do that. So he did. And he's like, okay. And I pay for my groceries. And we walk out together. And a magical moment happened. She starts tearing up. And I'm like, Debbie, I am so sorry. That wasn't meant to upset. She goes, no, 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 that's not it at all. I said, what's going on? She goes, I know you don't realize this. And that's why I'm crying is my husband lost his job last week. We don't know how we're going to pay for our groceries. I'm going to get teary eyed right now because and she's holding the baby. It had to be 6, 7, 8 months old.
Mm.
Here's the power of the story of serving. I did not know that. I didn't ask, hey, you struggling? You just don't do that. We don't know the shoes people are walking in, but when we take action of serving, something like that to happen. And I think more important in this story, it's great that I did what I did, but even bigger than that, what is she going to do best when she goes home and talks to her husband? This guy, Steve, did this. Now we're spurring serving through somebody else, pay it forward. We've seen the movie and talked about that. I think it's lost right now, but it's like Christmas. That's Christmas. Every morning, I helped somebody this morning. They're like, God, this is the greatest thing. I'm so glad I met you. I just felt like I had Christmas morning. I get that every morning.
And that's what I think stands you apart from a lot of other people. That's not to say they're not capable of it, but it's that mind state of going, I want to give. And it's not done enough, especially in a lot of these self-serving environments. What you do is so unique. And it's not just with the grocery stores, you do it in business, you do it. That's who you are as a person. It's not changing your identity to suit a scenario or suit somebody else's belief system. This is who you are. And I think entrepreneurs and listeners out there, business people who are aspiring to be something, start at home. Start by doing what something like Steve did and just do a good deed for somebody, even if it's paying for a cup of coffee or they're shopping, or simple, it sounds corny, but helping them across the road changes someone's day. Steve said it earlier, you don't know what people are going through. Then it comes into the weight of having that responsibility for yourself to raise the standard every day. And the emotions from it, you can speak into this, please, Steve. How do you manage your own sort of time as well as serving others on that sort of basis?
Yeah, that can be somewhat challenging, but it eventually works itself out. Again, it falls into chapter 4 of Think and Grow Rich, Law of Increase. And then I think it's chapter 3 or 2, but I read that every month. Increase people's lives. If people start asking more of you, you politely, as a servant, say, I can't do that. Or if you're a coach, I do a free podcast workshop. I help podcast hosts for free. Once a month, I spend an hour. They want to do more, there's going to be probably a charge, and that's okay because I'm bringing them more back. Hey, if they want to come to that workshop, Baz, every month and learn from me, because guess what? God in the universe goes, kudos, Steve. But here's the problem. We don't know when, how, or where the return is going to be, the ROI. And that's where people stumble. It's like, okay, I'm going to serve Baz today. When is that big client going to come? When is that $1 million contract? When is this or that? Transformational, not transactional. Through your whole life, transactions will come naturally.
I want you, the listeners, please pause that and write that down. Can you repeat that, please, Steve?
Transformational, not transactional, in every encounter you run into.
That there should be a framework for everybody listening now. From here on forward, transformational, not transactional. And Miss Steve's living proof of it. This changes people's lives. And the balance of having the two is quite unique for yourself. But you've not just monetized it to make a life of freedom and fulfillment for yourself. You're now paying it forward to other people, aren't you?
Yeah. Here's another great quote. Abundance leads to more abundance to others. This abundance coming to me, I've got some fantastic ideas to maybe be a nonprofit foundation. Spend more time. Maybe now I'll have more time to do 2 podcast workshops a month instead of 1. All the billionaires and millionaires I've talked to, and it's not a lie, I think it's about 10, they're really high successful people. They're always thinking of ways of giving back. And it's not the ways that you think. And a lot of it's subtle, very subtle. I had a guest on my podcast, Anthony Trucks, and shout out to Anthony. He calls it the dark work. That when you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, or I get up at 5:15, that you're working. I know, Maz, we've talked about you doing this work. There's nobody clapping for you. There's nobody cheering for you. And we don't give a crap, to be honest with you. We're there to learn, to grow, to help others. I don't need fanfare. I just want people to be smiling and be happy. And like Debbie happened at the grocery store, I made her a little bit better. And hopefully she grows on it and things happen for her.
And that's what separates the winners at that level, is what you just said there. There's no one clapping for you. You've got to clap in your own mind every single day to have that 1 percentile shift, to change the identity within yourself to level up. And the difference between failure and success is only that 1%. It could be getting up in that morning to do what you've done 1,000 times before, but you have that 1 percentile change in that day that creates the ripple effect. The failure doesn't exist then. It becomes exponential because you pay it forward.
Yeah.
I want to touch on briefly before we go close part 1, Steve, is the difference between in your own way and your own voice of failure and success, because failure is often associated with not just giving up, but the burnout and the fatigue of doing things over and over again. Can you just talk into that for a moment?
Love this question because everybody's failed. And back to those 10 or 15 billionaires, they've all failed. Every single one I asked if they failed, and they did. Some a little, some a lot, some lost millions, some, it doesn't matter. And I've failed. I've started network marketing companies. I've lost thousands. I've built great communities. I've lost them because of something, some other. We have to learn from those failures. But here's a powerful tip for all of you listening. You can bring serving into the failure. And here's what I've learned. You have you have some program and you're pitching, you're talking, they're like, hey, tell me more about your program. How much is it? And you say it's $15,000 for a year. And they go, oh, that's just a little too much. I'm not ready to go. Maybe in the future. We hear it all the time. And I love that people are being honest, but it becomes very uncomfortable. Uncomfortable for me making that offer because like, oh my God, did I upset them? And that person saying no, they've got to say no to somebody like. Here's what you do when you're making that offer. You've listened to them for 10, 20, 30 minutes. You know what, Joe? I heard you needed a better CRM. You were complaining about your CRM. It wasn't bringing you value. Here's one I think that would really help you. I took the no and I gave them more service, more value. When they leave, what are they thinking? Oh my God, I've done this. And people have told me later, I was like, you've really calmed that whole conversation down. 50% of the time I've found out people will come back and become your client. A couple of weeks later, a couple of months later, maybe a year later. Because you leave them with more than when you first met them. And again, you said it so well that 1% could be that one tip. Hey, here's what you could do on your Zoom. Or it could be, hey, here's $100,000. I want to invest in your company. Doesn't matter. Bring value. That's what service means. Bringing value to people. Have them be seen. So take a negative situation and serve more. You'll be a hero.
I love that, that I'm not going to say much more than be your own hero. And if you're listening to this now, write something down. What have you been avoiding to be your own hero in your life? What's stopping you from making that decision today? Write it down and do something to act upon it today. Wherever you are in life, make a decision for yourself to overcome that one thing that you want to become. Myself, Steve, I'll speak to you very shortly. My listeners, please like, share, subscribe, change someone's life today. It's part 1 with Steve Ramona, and we'll be back very, very shortly. See you soon.